Hello everyone. In the previous session, I showed you how to use Maker. It was a huge overview. For today, I will reorganize the concepts we've learned and get into the details. Today's session will be rather more conceptual than practical. We will start by diving into entity, component, property, and model that are commonly used in MSW. Afterwards, we will also briefly see what service and logic is. So entity means the object elements that make up the world, which means it's basically all the objects such as these terrains, monsters, and NPCs, and everything that are consisting the world are entities. And the world itself here is also an entity. So in MSW, object has the same meaning as entity. So entity is a larger concept embracing all objects that exist in MSW. There are two features of an entity I want you to take note of. First of all, with the world entity at the top here, you can visually check all entities. So this one, and the tiles and everything are entities, and you can visually look from here. And let me place a portal right here. I'm going to copy and paste another one here. Okay, so you'll see that as I place the object in the world, a new entity is added in our hierarchy panel. So for example, if I want to group this portal 9/1 to portal 9, I can just combine them. And here it has a hierarchical structure now in the form of a tree with a parent-child relationship. So when I want to move the whole thing, I can just move around with the parent entity, which means that the children entity follows all the attributes of their parents. I can resize them at once, yeah, and also like, change the properties from here. I'm going to move the position to 3. So yeah, it is moving together, as you can see. So this is what a hierarchical structure means. And now let's move on to components. So components plays a role in defining what an entity will do and what properties it will have. Each entity is composed of several components here. For now, they have around 3 to 4 components. And these components are divided into script components and native components. If you take a look at our workspace panel, we have these native scripts and native model. First of all, script component is something that we have made before here. So the components we create are called script components. Whereas native components, which we can find it right here, it's a huge list, are pre-made components provided by MSW. You can probably know what each components are by looking at their names. Chat balloon component, climbable component, tween component, and etc. For more information, the details of these components can be found right here in the API reference of the MSW Developers Center. Right here, you can see the explanation of each component. And through the entity editor, you can create an entity that operates in the form the creator wants by combining components whose functions are separated. So for example, I want to give this object a portal component. So I just have to add from the property right here in type portal component to make this entity have a property of a portal like this. Next, I'll explain what property is. So property is a concept introduced when adjusting those details to create a new component that you want. So in summary, these properties are used to make adjustments inside each component, and also all the components here has unique characteristics, which means they have different components. Even if an entity uses the same component like here, like this and these two portals, it behaves differently if you set the different property values here. So you cannot say that all properties of each component are the same. Okay, so it was an explanation about properties. And now I'll move on to models.